Cables are shrinking. You've turned them into faggots. You've burnt out the excessive machine. You've blown all its fuses.
My goodness.
You know how we've been wondering why all these cool old movies from our parents' era keep popping up with remakes? Like, look at Beetlejuice. Now they're talking about a remake with Jenna Ortega. And guess what? Another classic from the 60s, Barbarella, is getting the remake treatment too. Sydney Sweeney is set to star, and on top of that, there's talk of Edgar Wright directing. So let's dive into all the juicy details about the Barbarella remake. So far, here's what we know. Sydney Sweeney is set to star in this new take on the 1960s cult classic. There are already a bunch of exciting updates about the project. The original Barbarella, released in 1968 and based on Jean-Claude Forest's French comic series, starred Jane Fonda as a space traveler on a mission to find the evil scientist Durand Durand, who has created a weapon that could destroy humanity. While it didn't achieve the fame of contemporaries like 2001: A Space Odyssey, Barbarella has had a lasting impact on the sci-fi genre. Although critics didn't love the film when it first came out and it didn't make a huge splash at the box office, Barbarella quickly became a cult classic. Its popularity grew as later generations appreciated its campy, space-themed comedy. The movie cleverly captured the spirit of the sexual revolution through a sci-fi lens, and it's remained iconic over the years. Now, the upcoming remake aims to bring a fresh perspective to Barbarella, with Sydney Sweeney taking on the lead role. That said, according to Deadline, Edgar Wright is in talks to direct the Barbarella remake. Jane Goldman and Honey Ross are also being considered to co-write the script. Wright has shown interest in the project for a while now and even met with Sydney Sweeney shortly after it was first announced. He's currently developing it as a potential directing gig. If Wright signs on, we can expect the Barbarella remake to have his signature, fast-paced, kinetic visual style. Wright has experience with the sci-fi genre from The World's End, the final film in his Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy. The involvement of Jane Goldman as a potential co-writer suggests the studio is serious about making Barbarella a successful franchise. Goldman has a solid track record of launching franchises, having worked on the X-Men reboot, Kick-Ass, and Kingsman with director Matthew Vaughn. Sydney Sweeney, who will star in the remake, recently solidified her box office appeal with the romantic comedy Anyone But You, which grossed over $220 million worldwide on a $25 million budget. This success, combined with her Emmy-nominated performances in HBO's Euphoria and The White Lotus, makes her a bankable star. Wright is currently busy with The Running Man remake, which features Sweeney's Anyone But You co-star Glenn Powell. Sweeney also has a packed schedule, including a Christy Martin biopic and Euphoria Season 3 set to film in 2025. While the Barbarella remake won't be the next project for either Sweeney or Wright, the studio is fast-tracking it following the success of Anyone But You. With Wright potentially on board, the remake has a real shot at matching or even surpassing the original's entertaining visuals. Let's dive into what we know about the story details of the Barbarella remake. While Barbarella is a well-known comic book character, the remake is expected to draw most of its inspiration from the 1968 cult classic. Considering this, it's not too difficult to guess what the story might entail, and it's likely to stay true to the somewhat open-ended premise of the original. In the original film, Barbarella is tasked by the United Earth government to track down the renegade scientist Durand Durand, who has created a dangerous weapon threatening humanity. While this setup seems straightforward, the plot mainly serves as a backdrop for Barbarella's wild and eccentric adventures throughout the movie. The remake might use Barbarella's overt sexualization as a means to comment on broader issues of sexualization in the media, possibly offering a clever reinterpretation of the 1968 film. However, until more story details are unveiled, the exact storyline of the Barbarella remake remains shrouded in mystery. Some may wonder why Sydney Sweeney is the ideal choice for Barbarella. Well, for starters, Sydney has been associated with sexualized roles throughout her career. From her breakout performance in Everything Sucks to her recent success in Euphoria and The White Lotus, Sweeney has steadily risen to fame in Hollywood. With roles in projects like Madam Web and Immaculate, alongside Barbarella and Euphoria Season 3, it's clear her busy schedule isn't slowing down anytime soon. While Sweeney's career spans various genres, she's frequently appeared in horror, showcasing her versatility as an actress. However, it's her portrayal of Cassie Howard in Euphoria that has defined her image. Cassie's character is heavily sexualized in the show, a portrayal that has become part of Sweeney's reputation. This reputation actually makes her a perfect fit for Barbarella. In the original film, Jane Fonda's character isn't just a space traveler. She's portrayed as a sexy, seductive astronaut clad in revealing attire. This overt sexualization is exaggerated, almost satirical in nature. By embracing and playing with this aspect of the character, the Wright Sweeney version of Barbarella could both subvert elements of the original film and provide a commentary on Sweeney's own image and her audience's perception of her. Furthermore, when can we expect Barbarella to hit the screens? Well, both Wright and Sweeney have jam-packed schedules that might slow down progress on the film. Wright is not only working on The Running Man, but is also reportedly developing a project called The Chain. Meanwhile, Sweeney is juggling commitments to Euphoria Season 3, which has been facing production delays, along with the Christy Martin biopic and films titled Echo Valley and Eden. With these commitments stacking up, the prospective collaborators may find it challenging to dedicate time to Barbarella in the near future. Adding to the complexity, Wright has historically taken several years between his films. His last feature works, Last Night in Soho and the documentary The Sparks Brothers, were both released in 2021. Prior to that, Baby Driver came out in 2017 and The World's End in 2013. This track record suggests he typically requires at least 3 years between projects. Considering he still has The Running Man in the pipeline, it's reasonable to anticipate that Wright's version of Barbarella may not grace the screens until 2027 or even later. Sydney Sweeney's Barbarella has the potential to surpass the cult classic status of the original film. While the 1968 Jane Fonda movie is celebrated for its visual effects, it's criticized for its lackluster story and flat writing. However, with over 5 decades of hindsight, the team behind the remake has the opportunity to rectify these shortcomings and deliver a more compelling narrative. Sweeney's early involvement in the project is another advantage. Her passion for the character and the project as a whole can drive the creative direction and ensure that Barbarella's revival is handled with care and enthusiasm. One challenge the new Barbarella movie may face is the erotic nature of the original comics and film. While recent adaptations have moved away from this, Sweeney's previous roles in Euphoria and The Voyeurs, which she embraced nudity as part of her character portrayal, demonstrate her willingness to tackle mature themes. This opens the door for the remake to strike a balance between the adult themes of the original and today's more nuanced approach to intimacy. As audiences eagerly anticipate more details about the remake, they can revisit the original Barbarella movie, which is currently streaming on platforms like Fubo and Showtime, to prepare for the reimagined adventure awaiting them. And that wraps up today's discussion on Sydney Sweeney's upcoming venture as Barbarella. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Do you think Sweeney's portrayal has the potential to outshine Jane Fonda's iconic performance? Share your thoughts and suggestions for future topics in the comments below.